Like when you're in Vegas, it's a healthier way in my mind to pass the day than drinking.
Katie, do you get a feeling that Delaney is justifying right now?
Yeah, this is crazy. I've never seen anything like this. Cutting yourself off, and when you really think about it.
Welcome to Story and Craft. Now, here's your host, Mark Preston.
All right, here we go. Another episode of Story and Craft. We are back again, you and I. Thank you so much for stopping back by. Hey, if this is your very first episode, thank you. Welcome. Glad to have you as part of my mischief here. Today, we are sitting down and having a great conversation with Delaney Buffett and her producing partner, her co-star, a close friend since childhood, Katie Corwin. They were just a blast. Love their sense of humor. Really enjoyed them. And of course, Delaney's father, the late, great Jimmy Buffett. If you've listened to this show, you've probably heard me mention Jimmy a few times. Big fan, kind of ascribed to the Jimmy Buffett lifestyle. Of course, it was so neat to connect with Delaney, talk to her about growing up with Jimmy Buffett. But really, the core of this conversation, where it was so much fun, is the connection that Delaney and Katie have creatively, their friendship. Some shows just really stick out because it's just so much fun. And this is one of them. And you'll definitely pick up on that. They have a new movie out. It is called Adult Best Friends. It is on VOD. It is out today, February 28th. Friday, last day of February. Hard to believe this month has flown right by. My birthday, February 1st, end of my birthday month. So I don't know why I threw that in there. I guess kind of grooving on the idea of how fast this month has gone by. This is going to be a funny movie to check out. If you listen to the show, you probably heard me say more than once, we need more comedies, more just fun, goofy comedies. And Delaney and Katie have delivered without a doubt. And great conversation. Really, really honored to have spent some time with both of them. Hey, do me a favor if you would, just head on over to storyandcraftpod.com. As I always mention, I certainly would appreciate a little review, a little star here and there. Follow the show. That way you get notified every time there is a new episode. Actually, the exact link you want to go to is storyandcraftpod.com/rate. And that's how you drop your review and whatnot. But of course, you can always, on your own podcast app, you can go follow the show. That way, notifications come in right as soon as I release an episode. Okay, so let's jump right into it. This was a lot of fun. Had a blast. Enjoy, because today is Delaney Buffett, Katie Corwin Day. Together, right here on Story and Craft. Katie, where are you right now?
I'm in Brooklyn, New York. It's very cold. It's very dark. Hopefully that's not coming through.
No, you're all good. Delaney, you living in the West Coast, right?
I live in LA, yes. So I'm in Los Angeles right now.
And I'm right in the middle. I live on an island called South Padre down the very, very tip of Texas. So
yeah,
we were going to shoot our movie there, maybe.
Really? No kidding.
Yeah, we were. Yeah, for a moment.
I would love for them to shoot something down here. I'm not acting really. I mean, geographically, I'm just, it's like nothing's really around me. But I'm okay with that. I can keep myself busy doing other things. Mm-hmm. But it would be very cool if somebody came and shot something here. I'd be like, hey, choose me. I'll do something for you. Where'd y'all end up shooting it?
We shot half in
Mississippi in August. So it was warm. And then half, not the most
it was warm. That is if you live on the face of the sun, it's warm in Mississippi in the summer.
Toasty. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, well, we grew up in Florida, so we weren't really that nervous about it. We were ready to be a little warm. And then, no, it was warmer than anticipated. And then the other half in Los Angeles.
Okay. Well, obviously the question's out there. How did y'all meet? Did y'all grow up together? Did y'all just end up doing some work together?
Yeah, we met in middle school. And so we were like 10 years old. So we grew up together. We've been best friends since we were 10. And we started working together after college. But before that, we were not business partners. We were just friends.
And just nurturing the relationship.
That's very cool that y'all have known each other that long. I know people from that long ago, but I don't know if I do business with them now. It's just because, let me rephrase it. Not that I wouldn't enjoy it, but like they work in finance and stuff like that. So there's no way we would be able to work together. Now, so you said you grew up in Florida. Now I know, Delaney, your dad, I'm from Dallas originally, but I spent the last 25 years in New Orleans. So there's always this kind of trifecta. There is this Florida thing, then there's a New Orleans connection, and then there is I know we were I was a couple of years ago, I was at your aunt's place in Gulf Shores, Alabama, I think, the Lulus.
Yeah.
So there's, so I'm not quite sure. So where do you call home, like where you grew up? I mean, what, where y'all both grew up, actually?
I mean, I think we both were in Florida into our teens. So yeah, I think that's where like we went to middle school. So I guess that I would say if someone asked me the question, where did you grow up? And same for Katie, I think we always say Florida.
Okay.
But we both bopped around a fair amount. Yeah.
No, whereabouts in Florida?
West Palm
We
Beach.
were in West Palm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. My daughter's in school in Boca right now. I was at Lynn University.
Oh, yeah. Pretty close.
So how did this go? So y'all grew up in Florida. And was this was a discussion like, let's make movies one day? Or were you just like, was this always kind of on your radar, the creative thing?
No, I mean, I wouldn't say it was let's make movies. Like we weren't like making, I don't know, like we weren't like running around with a camcorder or anything. But I will say that we were always partners for like presentations in school. And we would definitely make them much more theatrical than necessary. So we did have fun just like collaborating and performing in like that regard. Like we just had fun, just being kind of silly with it. But I wouldn't say that it started to take a professional turn, like for either of us to seriously consider it until probably after college.
Okay.
Can you say that's right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I think we both were working in different areas of entertainment, and we were just like me, and we both always loved writing, I think. So we were eventually like, maybe we should try writing something together. And so we decided to write a very low budget web series when we were like 24, 25. And we had not gone to film school. So we kind of were like, all right, let's try this. Let's see if we can actually do it. And we really loved doing it. And we loved working together. And I think being on a film set, regardless of the size, is a stressful situation. And if you can make it through a day on set with someone well and harmoniously, which we continue to do and did. And Katie gets mad that I say that I can't believe we're still friends after we made this feature together. But
yeah, she keeps saying that.
True.
I'm like, I did not realize that was on the table. Had I known that this was make or break, I'm not sure I would have done it.
Well, it's like being in a relationship and then you go through married couples during COVID, they're seeing each other every single day and they're on top of each other, figuratively on top of each other constantly. And, now y'all both produced it, y'all both wrote it, but Delaney, you directed it, correct?
Yeah, we were both in it as well. So that was tough because we were doing a lot.
And what was hard about that?
And we were staying in the same hotel room. So not only like we were in each other's space 100%.
Wait, y'all were staying in the same hotel room together.
We had to be budget conscious.
No, totally understandable. But yeah, I'm starting to see where Delaney's coming from now. It's like now you're creating, but you're also on like
we're like fighting over protein bars. They're like last to the RX bar.
Yeah, like somebody tapped into the mini bar and then got charged $20 for a water. And now somebody's I got you. I got you.
We were just in very close quarters with everyone, so it was like. They were like, our room was adjacent to where everyone got their hair and makeup done. And so, because we didn't have traditional trailers, and it was really fun in a way because it feels like camp, but the same way, it's like you are with people 24/7. And I think, we've known each other for so long. So I think we have a patience with one another and good communication skills. So that helps. But I mean, it's hard. It's so difficult. Is obviously everyone knows this, but it's so difficult to make a movie that it really does test relationships, and you have to.
I actually didn't know how hard it was, so people probably don't know because I did not know. now I know.
Well, see, there's a certain zen to that when you step into something and you don't know the pitfalls and you don't know what could. There's no inherent stress. Maybe it's fun. Like, I'm going to do something with my close friend. But you met each other when you were in middle school, so that's kind of a rough developmental time anyway. So you've already y'all met at that kind of tumultuous time, and
True, yeah.
And so, I'm coming off of my kids. Well, I got through 21 and 20 and 19. So it was not like that long ago. And, I remember those years. The high school you went to, was it just regular, high school, or was it a creative high school, or was there, when you were in high school, did they have a theater program that y'all were tapping into at all?
Well, now I'm actually sensing a theme of our life is that we're like always on top of each other. It was a boarding school in New Jersey. So we lived there basically, the whole school year. And you're like in dorms and you can't necessarily leave campus without permission. So it's like college, just like much more restrictive because you're younger. It wasn't especially creative. I mean, they have a great creative program, but
you did theater.
Yeah, but I mean, it wasn't like a arts school necessarily. Why are you smirking?
You did theater, and then you did improv in college.
I have a passion for theater. Is something funny?
It's not funny. I'm just saying you are. Katie was more creative than I was, and she was. But I'm just saying. I'm just like.
So Katie, were you the outgoing one? Were you the more precocious one? And Delaney, were you a little bit more like?
I'm not the more.
Were you the one who was like in a room writing and stuff, or were you more, or were you kind of more gregarious?
No, I'm gregarious. I'm social. I'm a little bit more shy than Katie, I would say. But I don't know, this is like an old married couple where you're listening to the same stories over and over again. But like Katie in middle school, like the perfect example is like we had like a presentation where we were competing to be like Greeks, gods and goddesses, and it was like a play, and you got to like compete to see who would be like Zeus or like Hera and stuff like that.
This paints me in a bad light. But go.
It's not painted in a bad light. It's funny.
I need to do these joint interviews more often because to me, it's just like, I'm enjoying observing the
dynamic of us.
Yeah, the dynamic. Yeah. But did y'all by any chance go to college together as well?
No.
Okay. So there was some separation in
yeah.
your lives where you were not on. Okay.
Yeah.
So Delaney, where'd you go to school?
I went to Penn, and Katie went to Boston College. So we were close, but far enough where it was good space. Not bad. I didn't mean that in a good way.
I'm trying to remember, like I have nothing but just infinite adoration for your father. But I wasn't there something like in the Northeast, like in didn't y'all live up there? Didn't y'all have a place? For some reason, I'm thinking like Martha's Vineyard or something. Or am I wrong in saying that?
No. We lived. I lived for a part of my life in Sag Harbor on Long Island.
Oh, Sag Harbor. Okay.
Yeah, so I went to school there for a little while when I was younger, and then I've spent a lot of time out there. So yes.
Your dad did like a live set, like a fundraiser for a school, and it was recorded, so it's out there. And I remember hearing about it. It's like, I didn't.
Yeah. I remember that. Probably I was like my middle school, probably.
I know your lineage, Delaney, but Katie, was there any, were your folks involved in this at all, or were they totally disconnected from entertainment?
No, I wish. But no. My dad does something with mortgages, and my mom was an artist mom, mostly just taking care of the kids. But unfortunately, no connections.
So you were not the odd man out, but you kind of definitely chose your own path, and of course. But I got to know, Delaney, was your dad was he encouraging you to choose a creative path, or was this like hands off, do whatever you want, or was he discouraging it in any way? What was the influence when you were young?
I think he was always very. I mean, I think I would assume if you are a parent who takes a risk in a creative path, it's probably very difficult to dissuade your child to do otherwise. I think I didn't always want to do this. I wanted to go to law school at one point and definitely take more traditional routes. Like I studied criminology in college.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, which I put to no use at all now. But I think I always sort of was, attracted to creative things, and I loved writing. I think ultimately always, and I loved movies and I loved TV, and he was always super supportive of that. I was fortunate in that. My mom was as well. They were never trying to steer me down one path or the other. But I think at the bottom of it, they were always like, you need to do something, and then you need to have work ethic. And they were always very realistic about it, because my dad struggled a lot at the beginning, and my mom had been around in her entire life. And they were like, this isn't easy. Like, this is really hard. It's a lot of rejection. And you have to be prepared for that. And if it doesn't work
your dad
out,
saw the polar opposites. I mean, somebody said, well, if Jimmy Buffett did it, well, it's like a lightning in a bottle. He's to go from and wasn't he like in New Orleans? He was playing street corners like with
A
the guitars.
busker.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's a pretty big book. It's a pretty diverse bit of bookends. And that's the rarity. So it's kind of like when you decided to start doing this, was the writing just you like telling stories, or was that the impetus for writing, or was it just like you just hashing things out like emotions, like junior high middle kids do?
When we first started writing, I think it was, I forget because Katie has a much better memory than I do, but I feel like it was like sketches.
Well, when we were writing together, it definitely was sketches. But in terms of, I can actually answer for her. In terms of her original prose,
you are so like a married couple.
Like,
yeah,
I feel like you always wrote like fiction. It wasn't like necessarily like a journal entry. It was like a kind of crazy short story.
Yeah, and I think same for Katie as well.
The premise of the movie, I mean, it's obviously adult best friends. Was this? I'm sensing this was informed by real life. I don't want you to give anything away about the movie, but what's the general premise, if you will? And was it something y'all took from your own friendship or personal lives?
So the general premise is that a woman, me, gets engaged and is nervous to tell her lifelong best friend. So she takes her on a vacation to kind of break the news to her, but it doesn't really go as planned. It's harder than she's expected, basically. Thankfully, this did not really happen to us. We say that the emotional beats are real, but the actual, plot points are not real. It is really difficult, I'm sure, kind of no matter the age, no matter, guy or girl, like when you've had a friend for that long, you just go through so many points of your life together that you just have to figure out, like, where's the friendship fit now? Where does it fit now? How much time do we have for each other? Are our interests still the same? And it's just something that a lot of people struggle with. So it was something that's personal to us, and we wanted to kind of tackle with the very first movie, since we're learning on the go.
Well, it's funny because I was just watching Roy Wood Jr., his comedy show, and he said there's something different about the friends you knew from back when, the ones you eat ramen noodles together with. He said those ramen friends are different than the friends you make as an adult. They don't know about the evolution of how you got to where you are. I mean, it's growing up, like Delaney, like together, like what were you seeing things in your relationship, like this is something specific that actually happened that I want to make sure shows up in the movie? Was there anything like that?
I'm trying to think. I mean, I think the biggest thing is like like you said, there's a difference between, like, when you become friends as a kid, it's usually, it's easier. It's like, oh, we both like the same color. My dog's barking. May I let her in? I'm so sorry.
No. I'm a fan of the pooches. I've got a 9-month-old golden retriever I have upstairs, or else he would literally be on top of me right now. He's in his adolescent phase right now. He's a sweetheart.
She does not. That's a cute age. She does not like being left outside anywhere. Hi.
Of course, she has to participate. Yeah. But I mean, I'm kind of curious, because we all have those memories. Like, God, this would be really funny to put in a movie, or something like that.
I think that one thing was like the way Katie and I met. It was like when we were younger, and it was in a situation where one of us had been like left out or something, and we wanted it to feel real. And that when you're younger, you kind of have these friendships formed, and like you only like the same color, you like the same band, but as you get older, you have to like really build a foundation with it. And it's like you said, it's much harder to make friends when you're older because you're a different person, and it's life's not as simple as it is when you were a kid.
And you're busier. You have responsibilities. It's like I don't have 30 hours to dedicate to hanging out. I really wish I did.
I wish.
I don't.
Yeah, looking back, it's like,
I think we wanted to show that.
Yeah, having all that time back when you're younger, it's like now I could say I'll touch base soon. It'll be like 6 months later where we pick right back up where we left off, and it's especially when you have kids and it's just, and you're like, you look at your bed going, I can just go get some rest finally,
it's hard. And we talk to people about it a lot, like after screenings where it's like, like, are you really that close? And, was it hard? Like, did you have growing pains? And what we always kind of say is like, it's not that it's hard to have an adult best friend. It does honestly require like a certain amount of respect for the relationship and giving it time. Like, and chatting, when you can chat. It's easier for us since we work together. So by default, we already have some like time built in every week to, chat and be talking. But it is possible. I think we say this, obviously, we only know, what we know, but as long as you actually make the effort, like I think it's doable.
How long ago was the principal photography? When did you make it?
August 2023 is when we shot it.
Okay. And,
so coming up on 2 years.
Now, your father passed right about then, didn't he?
Yeah, we wrapped shooting and then he passed like a week later, I believe. So it was a rough time in my personal life while we were making the movie, to say the least.
I am so sorry.
It was a bit. No, it's okay. It was a just good distraction, but yeah, and we got to shoot in Mississippi, where he was from. And
now, where did you shoot in Mississippi?
Biloxi.
Oh, okay.
In Ocean Springs.
Wait, so August, hang on. Wait, so August 2023. Okay, yeah, because I was living in New Orleans and I evacuated for, it was Hurricane Ida. And my place got wrecked. And there were no hotels anywhere in the New Orleans area. So I literally was driving back and forth to Biloxi every day. The only place that had room that wasn't a casino was Margaritaville. My kids loved it because it was an old casino and they took the casino floor and turned it into a big arcade. So
arcade, yeah. That's what there's one of those in Vegas too that I used to love as a kid. There was like a huge arcade that I love gambling, but I did love.
Oh, really?
It's a newfound thing. I was just in Vegas. And I have a new thing for blackjack. That's probably not cool to say, but I really like it.
That chapter's over.
So Katie, where do you sit on this whole gambling thing?
On gambling, I would rather spend $100 on gum and squirrel it away than lose $100 at like a blackjack table. To me, it is like so infuriating to just have the money like
the house always
away.
Wins.
Well, also someone has said to me, it's not fluttering away, you're paying for like the experience and the rush. So that helped me understand a little bit more, but I'm anti.
My best friend always used to like to go to Vegas, and I said, "Listen, if you take the money, because he was smart, he knew whatever he was going to gamble, he had no plans of coming home with that money." I was like, "Okay, well then you're not going to have it. Put that together with the cost of getting to Vegas. Boom! Now you got yourself a beach vacation, you go Cancun or whatever." That's me just trying to be practical. I love playing blackjack. The whole idea of losing money was not cool.
And you're always winning.
I love blackjack. I like blackjack.
It just kills me that you win in the beginning and you're like, and I could win a little more too. And then you just lose it all and you're like, what happened?
I think I played for 4.5 straight hours and I literally was like, okay, is the sun still out? Like, can I have water?
You played for 4.5 hours.
I saw 3 sets of dealers come through and the last one was like, you need to go upstairs. And I was like,
you're not recording this, right? This part's not recorded.
Is gambling like a bad, now I'm like, is gambling a bad thing?
I don't think it's bad.
It's a bad thing.
It's like anything else in
addictive.
Moderation, but it's just something about, I remember shooting something, I forgot what I was shooting, and they needed it was one of those riverboat, because, for whatever reason you have to have the casinos over the water, whatever, down south. So, and they shot it, like usual call times, something early, like the sun hadn't come up yet. And they took one whole floor of the casino to do something. And I was seeing people like in wheelchairs and with their oxygen tanks wheeling in at like 8-something in the morning. I'm like, this isn't too sexy for me. It's different. Like if you're in Vegas or something like that, it can be a little bit more, maybe more fun. But aesthetically, it's kind of like, I kind of felt bad for these people because I don't know, maybe this is like a joyful thing. I don't know. But
that will be me. I learned that this weekend.
You're like, don't pity us. That's me.
Yeah, we're fine.
Well, you're in LA. Do you go to one of the reservation casinos? This
is a newfound thing for me. So I was just in Vegas for actually the bachelorette of our friend who produced it, All Best Friends. And I have played blackjack before, but I only really do it in Vegas. It is a Vegas thing. Like I don't do it outside of that. And I like the experience of sitting in the casino and stuff like that. So no, I don't do it outside of Vegas. I just like Katie said, I really do think you're buying like a thrill. And I don't put a lot of money in. Like I play at the low stakes tables, $15 entry. Like I'm not crazy. I squirrel away. Like I have I think it was just, I had a method and I got really into it, and then it was fun and I had a really great time. And like, it's a good, like when you're in Vegas, it's a healthier way in my mind to pass the day than drinking.
Katie, do you get a feeling that Delaney is justifying right now?
Yeah, this is crazy. I've never seen anything like this. Cutting yourself off. And when you really think about it.
I think that could be the idea for a film, what you're there for 4 hours, you see some people cycling in and out. From your point of view, for like 4 hours, what happens in a casino?
That's where I end up in the sequel. I'm in the Vegas casino
at the blackjack table. Drag Delaney out by her toes.
Are either one of you married, or did that part of the film?
You got to kick me while I'm down here, Mark.
It's more time to gamble, Delaney. So Katie, you're actually married, and that kind of fit with the theme. Okay, so what does your husband do?
Yes,
and I actually am a huge degenerate.
It's really addicted to gambling. We shot a documentary. So that's what we mean by like the emotional beats are real, the plot points are not real. Like, yes, in reality, I really did get married. In reality, we really did have to figure out like how this works with 3 people. I literally was. I had a therapist once who I've since fired, who would say like, I think, like once, what was it? It was like, once you're married, it is, kind of take your toys from the sandbox and time to head home, like in terms of like friendships. And I was like,
really?
What the hell are you talking about? I was like, first of all, like there's a million scenarios in which we buy houses next to each other. That happens all the time. So that's 1. I'm like 2, like apartment buildings. We could live on the same floor. Like, I'm like, they could be best friends too. Like, none of this makes any sense. So she was promptly fired and we made this movie. But we did have to decide, like, not decide, but kind of just talk about it and like assure one another that it wouldn't be like that. Like, obviously, or at least, it was obvious to me, like that won't happen at all. But he likes the movie. If that was the question, he's a fan of the movie.
Well, Delaney, Katie just mentioned the idea about building houses next to each other. Are you down with that, or is that something?
Yeah, I mean,
I can be in Nevada.
Or it could be like that Will Ferrell movie, The House, where you actually put the casino in the house,
Yeah, that's fine.
I've not seen that, but I will be watching that later. I would totally do that. I live with a friend now. I enjoy it. Like, I like the community. I guess it depends where that is. Nevada, I'm a fan of, but yeah, no, I would definitely do that. I think when Katie comes to LA and like she stays with me, and so does her husband. So, like for a wedding, there's like 5. Yeah, it's a communal living situation. And we haven't had any, fights yet. So,
I mean, I've never asked him how he feels about that, but I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
Well, like everyone I love under one roof.
What does he do for a living?
Mark, this is a question I have trouble answering. He makes vertically integrated communication systems for financial platforms.
Wow.
Okay.
I can't explain it any further than that.
Well, it's computer stuff and money stuff, so I'm lost.
That's exactly what it is. Yep, that's exactly what it is.
Well, I want to go back to the little origin, because if y'all met in middle school, that's kind of like when the mischief kicks off. Did y'all ever get into any kind of fun trouble with one another that involved intervention from the parents? Like, did y'all go on any adventures? Did y'all create any mischief? Was there any jail time, anything like that?
Oh my God. The only thing I can think of is once someone asked Delaney out and she like didn't want to go. And this is like, it's middle school, so it's like a movie date, but she didn't want to go.
About this.
And she was too nervous to like say no, obviously, because you're a kid and also it's still kind of hard. And so I got on the phone and put on a Southern drawl and did my best impression of Jane Buffett and said I'm really sorry, but Delaney just like can't go out tonight. And so then we told her mom, like dying laughing, and that it worked. And she laughed and was like, I'm so glad it worked. Don't ever impersonate me again. Sorry about that. Message received.
Where is your mother from, Delaney?
South Carolina.
Oh, okay. Does she have the
Katie
southern
does a bit of an
drawl?
exaggerated accent. I think that she would tell you no, but I think that she definitely does
So,
have a accent compared to most people. But I don't hear it as much. But I grew up with it. That's why both of my parents had accents. But we didn't get into much. I mean, we were both not. I wouldn't say like goody two shoes, but we weren't very mischievous
oh,
children.
okay.
Either of
Yeah,
us.
we were pretty academic, which is
We were tame.
yeah.
We were academic as well, but yeah.
Well, that kind of blows this whole part of the questioning. But no,
No,
I was
no.
gonna,
I mean, we can make some.
was
We can make up
Yeah,
some
we
stuff
can make
to seem
something up.
cool.
like,
Yeah.
y'all
Phone
are
call was
writers.
all we
Make something
had.
up.
Yeah.
I'm playing. So, what is life like in West Palm? Growing up down there, because I know nothing of kind of like what the vibe, the ecosystem. Like, what did y'all do on the weekends? What was fun for y'all? What kind of
I mean,
life is?
it's so different now. Like post COVID, it's turned into like a small city. But when we were there, it really was more of like a town. Weekend,
Yeah, it was like a beach
walk to
town.
the beach, yeah, zoo,
Yeah, you would like ride
county
your bike,
fair.
go to the beach. The movies was a huge thing. Like the movies, like
Mhm.
this place, City Place, which was, I think, is still there.
I think so.
Clematis. You just like go to movies. I mean, it was fun, but it was like I have a difficult time living, I think, in cold places because we grew up there. It was always warm and you could always be outside playing sports and stuff. And we both liked to do that. And so I think for me, I don't even know how cold it is in New York right now, Katie, but like I am now can't be like, it was like when I left, we were in Arizona for a screening the other day and it was maybe like 55 degrees. And I was like, it is frigid outside.
Mhm.
And it's like 7 degrees in New York. But I think like growing up there made me like really, and I don't think I appreciated it at the time, but like I loved being outside and having access to the beach and the warm weather. And it's very like it was, I don't think it is anymore, but it was a pretty casual town. So yeah, it was nice. It was like a great place to grow up as a kid, like to grow up.
Mhm.
Now, Delaney, you have a brother and a sister, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And Katie, do you have any siblings?
Yes, I have a brother and a sister.
Did they kind of find their way into this
They're the
this
same.
gig as well, or they do something totally different?
My brother is something totally different. It's finance, another thing I can't explain. And then
Do you
my
want to
sister,
explain us?
Yeah, don't want to explain us? No, I don't want to explain us. And my sister, yes, comedy writer, in like a lot of different capacities.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, and she's eldest, so if anything, I followed her in her footsteps.
Now, Delaney, are you the only one that went into this, or did your brother and sister kind of find, or is anybody doing music in the family?
My sister does some things kind of in music, but not really. No one really went into music actually. But, I think my sister does a lot of creative consulting work, and my brother does not do anything creative. He worked in video games for a long time, which is creative, but then, no one really did any music stuff. I mean, I like played piano as a kid, but I never really stuck with it.
Now,
which I
did your
think
dad
is
have a recording
case for a
studio
lot
at the
of people.
house, or did he have another place near the house where he went to go record and stuff?
There wasn't one when we were growing up. I don't think so. There's probably one down. I think he went to some place locally, but there wasn't one in the house that I remember. I could be totally wrong. It was a long time ago. I have a horrible memory.
That's why Katie's here. No.
But yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember one in the house.
Yeah. How old were you when you first processed, okay, Dad is, I'm doing air quotes for those listening, he's Jimmy Buffett, and all the mystique that went behind that. And how old were you when you became cognizant of that, that your dad was somebody more than just dad?
I have no idea, honestly. I really don't. I'm trying to think, like probably we were pretty sheltered as kids. So maybe if I went to like a concert or something and kind of realized it. I don't really know. People would ask me a lot about it. I don't really remember. Kind of has always been that way, but it wasn't. I don't think there was a moment where I was like, "Oh my God, like he's famous."
Right. So many people have
Yeah.
their own personal relationship either growing up with his music and different generations, or, you know, there's different connections, and all these people have their own kind of, which I think is kind of cool. You know, they have their own ownership. It kind of,
Yeah.
there's something still very much alive out there. I like I said, have nothing but great adoration for your dad and his music. Do people still come up to you and like they're like, "Hey, oh, let me tell you this story about," and fill in the blank? I mean,
Oh, for sure. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, a lot. I think especially since he's passed now, a lot of people will tell me memories and such. But yeah, I mean, it's always, I'm very used to it, like regardless of the situation, it's happened to me my whole life. So it's, you know, it's kind of second nature at this point. And I was, you know, I think I always thought it was interesting, but I think my mom made a very, very, you know, conscious effort to be like, that's not yours, and it's not for you. They're not clapping for you, which is very true. And she did it in a nice way, but so I think I kind of always was trying to separate myself from him in
Well,
a
I think it's
way,
pretty
but
awesome. You're
still
out in the
trying
world
to,
creating your thing right now. I mean, that's what I
yeah,
think is just really there is a couple of moments like, you know, rough spots or good spots. Your dad's music always showed up when I tried, so I had to kind of like pass that along because I know that
yeah, yeah.
that's now did the two of y'all ever go on, you know, one of your dad's tours? And Katie, did you go along? Did y'all ever do that?
We would go to shows. We went to one in Vegas. Now I sound crazy.
All roads
Not a year
lead.
before.
there.
All
Yeah.
roads lead to
I'm
Vegas.
like, sorry, can we just talk about blackjack for 4 minutes? No. Yeah, I mean, we would go to shows when I was younger. We would never like go on the road. But we would go to shows together. A few. I can't, yeah, I think in New York and Vegas and
Florida ones, yeah.
Florida once or twice. Yeah.
Yeah, when I worked in radio, it was so funny. People always used to talk about, oh, the backstage. Backstage to me was always one of those boring places to be. You know, there's nothing really fun happening backstage. You know, it's kind of mystique that's created. But I always like being, you know, watching the show the way it was meant to be taken in.
Yeah.
But like for both of y'all, what did y'all, as far as movies, music, what was y'all's jam growing up? Because I know that in some way that has to influence what you chose to do, both in writing and the kind of projects you want to do. What, for both of y'all, what was it that was grabbing your attention early on?
I would say, I mean, where Delaney's vice is blackjack, I would say my vice is honestly like laughing. Like, I love the feeling of it. I love the like temporary blankness that you have. The more laughing, the better. So, like,
That's so sweet.
Oh, really?
No,
Oh,
I
well,
was
good.
joking, but I was saying it's
Oh,
nice.
just kidding.
It's nice.
Okay. I think though there's also some study where it's like it has the same effect as like
As
temporary drugs, basically. Yeah.
Or
So you're just
blackjack.
doing like these mini hits or blackjack. So I say that to say that my favorite movies growing up and even now are just a joke a minute, like Wedding Crashers, like any Will Ferrell movie, any Chris Farley movie, Adam Sandler, like. Even if it's so stupid, honestly, the stupider the better.
Yeah, I am a
just
big
love
fan of
laughing at
anything
it.
Judd Apatow puts out there, and like
Yep.
you know, I was on the streamers the other day, which I'm loving. I'll have this film out there. I was searching through all of them, and like there's a lot of dystopian, a lot of heavy stuff. Like, where are all the comedies? Where are all the dumb joke comedies, like the stuff that like Anchorman and stuff like that, or stuff Judd Apatow was doing? We need more of that. It can kind of disappear and kind of sometimes
Yeah.
you just want to laugh. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I agree. And I think for me too, like I was messing around, Katie, but I think like I love laughing. I do. And I think that's what like the best thing about being on a comedic set too, is you're just surrounded by funny people. So it's like nonstop joking and nonstop comedy and yeah, I love to laugh, and I think there is less comedy that I'm seeing. Maybe I hear everyone say that, so then I'm like, I guess there is less
I think
comedies up
I've
there.
been told it has something to do with budgeting, like you know, 20 million being a benchmark. Budgetarily, it just can't happen. They don't drop as much money into comedies as they used to, or something like that.
They
I'm no
don't
expert.
anymore. It doesn't I don't think comedy is like one of the one things that does not translate internationally. Like it's really difficult. Comedy is very different culture to culture. So that's a tough thing to market and get out there and sell. And, you know, I think for us, like we made this movie, we wanted to do it low budget, but we also just wanted to make a comedy. Like we wanted to make the comedies that we watched as kids that like, sure, they probably could be construed as simplistic or stupid or joke a minute or like, you know, like the plot's not original, but it's like for us, it was like, we just want it fine. Like if a plot's not original, but the writing's great, I never care. And I think for us, we just wanted to try to write something that was funny and specific to us, but also appealed to a larger audience in terms of like the emotionality of a piece. And so I think that's like why we wanted to sort of get back to the nostalgia of those like 2000s movies that we had always loved, and put our own personal spin on it.
That's a great observation, though. You're right. I think culture to culture comedy is digested differently, you know, so it may not land somewhere else. But musically, what I'm curious, obviously with you, Delaney, you know, heck with you, Katie. Totally kidding. But no, I mean, growing, you had a certain kind of music around you. Where did your musical taste go? And same question for you, Katie. Like, what things were you listening to? Let's say going back middle school, y'all sitting around. Were boom boxes still a thing back then? I don't know. I feel old. But were y'all sitting in your room listening? What was the jam? What were y'all into?
All right, I'll kick it off. I have notoriously bad taste in music. Music's not one of my skills.
Oh, I thought you were about to say Notorious B.I.G. I'm sorry.
Yes, here's music resonates with me. But thankfully, where I lack, Delaney does have an exceptional taste in music and just like mental catalog to the point where if I hear a song that I like, I'll find her later and kind of like try to say some of the lyrics or hum a part. And she's like, it's this. I'm like, thank you. So she's my little Shazam.
So you're saying your memory's not that great, but you're kind of a savant when it comes to the music.
Yeah, I like playing this game where you listen to the first 3 seconds of a song and you name it. So savant.
And then she wins $1. If she doesn't get it,
I was about to say, are we going back to gambling? Is that?
Yeah.
No, I love music and I really like it. Yes, I have a weird memory for music, but I have a bad memory for everything else. And movies, honestly, like remembering who was in what movie. But no, I love music. I think it's a huge thing for me. And I love the way like I love mixing music and movies. I love having someone come on and do the score with them and collaborate with like music supervisors, which I think is the coolest job out there. And we had this music supervisors, Gemma and Alec and Payment at this company Radish, and they just like I've talked this a lot, but they like blew my mind away where you were like, I want this song. And you're like, well, you're not going to get that song. And you're like, okay. And then they pick something out of this incredibly like diverse, insane catalog, put playlists together. And you're like, that is exactly what I wanted and better. Like, so I think that was so fun for me, the process of picking the music out for the movie. I love doing that.
I'm curious. I was just talking to Jordan Bo Bridges' son, and he's in a couple projects and how he likes to create Spotify playlists. Do you do the same thing? Do you have like a multitude of different lists that kind of land like, okay, this is the mood I'm in right now. I want to go to this list. Do you do that? Because my daughter Emma, all she does is she just likes songs. So she doesn't have any playlist. It's just one eternal like list. But what do y'all do?
That's like me. I have no method over here. I'm open to any kind of suggestions. But I also will say that when we're writing new scripts, Delaney will write in songs for like, that would be good for that mood. That's how like connected it kind of is for her, which I think is very impressive.
So you use that, like when y'all are writing, do y'all do the thing where you already have in mind who it is, whether you cast him or not? Do you like, okay, this is sort of the totem. This is kind of what I feel about this character. This is who would play them. Because I know I've read a couple books on writing. They say, don't do that. But to me, it makes all the sense in the world. Like when you were writing this, Adult Best Friends, did you have in mind some casting along the way while you were writing it?
I think
Zach.
Yeah, I think this was a unique project because we wrote it for our friends and for us. So like we kind of like, every character, for most people, we basically cast half and then wrote with people in mind that we'd like asked to be in it. And for that, it's great because you can kind of it's easier to write with someone in mind,
Yeah,
totally, even though it's recommended not to. Like, it's like, oh, like it would be so, we know this person, how funny would it be if they said X or did Y? So we did that for, Zachary Quinto, who's in our movie. It's like we sent him the script and then we worked with him on that character. And he gave us his time to do so. And so he was the larger actor in the movie. And it was such like a rare opportunity to have it, especially like with our budget and size of movie, to be able to have that caliber of actor and be like, are you going to sit down and write this, script with us? And so that was a great opportunity, but rare. And now with other stuff we're writing, like, I mean, yeah, we always will say like, wouldn't it be so funny? I think, I don't know, Katie, like when we're reading it, like I certainly have people in mind.
Yeah, I think it certainly helps, like, just to stay consistent, because obviously you're writing it over so many different days.
See,
but
that's
the
my
only
thing.
thing I would add
Consistency.
is,
When you have somebody in mind, it just sort of helps kind of keep the figurative voice in check,
yeah, I think it's just remaining flexible, because we've written so many things, as something we just finished, where any of the characters, but let's say the protagonist, how they end up in your finished plot, like who they are, is so different from how you first started. And the more you refine the story, actually, they're more sensitive, or they're less sensitive. Maybe this is one of their flaws, maybe it's not, and that will obviously play a huge part in casting. So I think as long as you're remaining flexible to like the evolution of the story, I think it can only help.
Delaney, since you directed it, I mean, to me, that would be such a monster task, because you direct, being an actor, it's like it has its own complexities, but you show up, you do the thing, you get to go home. But director, you marry to this thing for a long time, and you got to do the editing and all that. What was the most challenging part of this whole thing for you, since you were wearing all these different hats and stuff?
I mean, man, it was all a real challenge, but I think that, I think that, I think it was really hard to split my brain between acting and directing. That was a really big challenge.
That's got to be rough. I mean, you have to really trust your DP to say, okay, I think you got it. Or did you have to go watch
everyone. I was very lucky, because it was all of our friends. Again, like I really think that this movie in the end was a very great, like it was so much work, but we had such good people. And I don't think I would have been able to, and I'm not just like saying, I don't think I would have been able to do this like without everyone. I would not be able to have done this without our crew and our AD and our DP and our producer. Like everyone did a lot more than they should have, and everyone did a lot more than their brains possible. Production designer, costume designer, every department head, I trusted, and it was communal. And Katie, like if I had a bad take, our producer would be like, just like, you're not going to like that. And I would be like, oh, okay. Our DP would be like, try that again. Katie would be like, try that again. So it's about establishing like, I'm okay. I need honest feedback, because I can't give myself feedback. So that was really difficult to split my brain in terms of, okay, stay present as an actor and then take all this information. But then also you're watching someone else's performance. So you have to be like, okay, I'm acting, but I also need to keep an eye on them, because I need to be able to adjust that actor in the next scene. And I think the thing that I equipped myself best with, I prepared a lot. And like with Katie, it's like, it's natural. Like, and Katie's very good at taking direction and criticism and knew the script and is very funny and can improv well. So it's like when you have someone like that, you just kind of, again, you trust them to do what they do, and they do it well. So you can kind of take a couple, hats off at that point.
Were y'all okay kind of going into improvisation and ad-libbing, or were you trying to stay right on script? Or was there a lot of improv going on?
We had kind of planned going into it, just knowing like with a limited budget and a limited everything, like we can't go over. There are no more days. So we need to get everything, to get it as it's written a few times, get everything. And then if their time permits, allow some improv. And then also so many, like Delaney said, of the people involved were either our friends or one another's friends, that we were lucky enough to have some pre-existing chemistry there. Yeah. So if people are playing best friends or playing a couple or something, they already kind of had a dynamic that would be a little more comfortable with one another, which I think was helpful given the time crunch.
experience, if we kind of take it all in from the time you created this to shooting it to now, would y'all do this again with one another?
Yeah, of course. You look at me like
I would too.
Oh my God.
I didn't want to presume.
See, I kind of feel like the therapist. Okay,
Yes.
do y'all want to do this again?
Yeah.
No. We definitely, of course. We already have written 2 scripts together.
Do y'all like to stick within the comedy
this.
genre, or is there something else y'all want to explore? Like, what else is on the agenda that you would like to tap into?
I would say priority number 1. Oh, I was going to say bigger budget for comedy, but genre-wise, then I would say something maybe a little darker, like a darker comedy, something with more edge. But I'm personally really happy right now in the comedy space. Like I said, with my laughter addiction, it only helps me. So
I'm really feeling like this whole casino thing could work out. You talk about the darker kind of angle,
Yeah.
My mind is working on that right now.
It's a gambling addiction.
No, not even a gambling addiction, but just sort of like all the things that go on around you in a casino. I think casinos they're their own ecosystem. They're their own world.
They are.
You step into it, and the reason why there are no clocks on the walls, like you said, there's no worse feeling than being out. Like when I was in, we're talking early 20s. You open up a door of a casino or venue, we'll call it, and there's the sun. It's like that. There's yeah, it's not fun. It's.
I don't think I saw the sun for 3 days. No windows.
What are you writing down? Oh no.
Katie's making notes and about to call you after this. Going, we need to talk.
Send help.
Well, I'll tell you what, one of the things I like to do kind of as we head towards wrapping up is something I call my 7 questions. And I'll propose both, but for both of y'all, just a little extra fun. Katie, you up first. What is your favorite comfort food? Like, are you like, that's my jam on a good day, bad day. I love it.
That's easy. My answer is biscuits.
Biscuits.
Yeah, I don't even know my favorite comfort food, just my favorite food.
Okay, now the Southern boy in me has to ask you, are you cool with gravy?
No, I like it to be sweeter. I'm like butter and jam.
Oh,
kind of
okay.
Honey.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
It's British.
That's a British thing.
Or that's how they do it in Indiana. Okay? So
Indiana?
I don't know what to tell you, but that's how it was served to me.
Yeah, as a Texas boy, I don't think Indiana when I think biscuits, but I'm sure they're just marvelous up there. So, Delaney, what would yours be?
My comfort food. I like turkey burgers. That's my comfort food.
Okay.
Can you live a little? A lean white meat patty?
The key is you got to get the thigh meat in there. That's the jam.
Yeah, I like turkey burgers. Okay, fine. Mac and cheese. I'm going to be honest or I'm going to lie. I'm not like
comfort food. It was a comfort food specifically.
Okay, mac and cheese.
What was your dad's comfort? What would you say was his comfort food? What was that thing he's always snacking on or probably shouldn't be eating and was? What was that thing? Do you remember?
He likes fried chicken a lot.
Yeah, I'm sure Popeyes is popular down that way.
Yeah.
God, I haven't had lunch yet, and I'm just now I got biscuits. I gotta say, I love turkey burgers. I don't know if that's going to be on my list of to-dos anytime really soon, but the key is what you put on a turkey burger. That's what makes the turkey burger good. All the accoutrement and seasoning.
Now Katie's made me self-conscious about my answer, but I'm being honest. If I'm away for a long time and I come home, I eat a turkey burger.
Yeah,
I guess that's true. A comfort food doesn't necessarily need to be rich. I guess you're right. I stand corrected. I apologize. I hope
if I go home, I'm like, I would love a turkey burger. I'm not what I
feel bad. I hope as y'all say, hey, you made it through this whole process.
With jam and butter.
Y'all made it through this whole process. Y'all are still talking. And after dude, we talked to this guy, Mark Preston. We don't want to fucking talk to each other again now. So I don't want to go down in history as the one that separated the team. No, but no, I love that. Now, the next question I got is, Katie, if you're going to be sitting down talking story for a few hours, having coffee, and you could choose 3 people living or not, who would those 3 people be you'd like to sit down at that table with? Talk story, just about anything.
Okay. I'm going to
tougher
say
than comfort food.
Mel Brooks, Nora Ephron. Maybe I'll pick a crazy third one. And I want to ask Delaney for help, but she has to answer right after.
You can't phone a friend. Sorry.
And Elvis.
Okay. But the comedy thing's strong. Yeah, Mel Brooks. I mean, I will say Mel Brooks owns satire. There was a meme that's floating around. I saw it yesterday from Blazing Saddles. That scene where he says, "Where are all the white women at?" He said, "Where are all those cheap eggs at?" Talking about. Anyway, when somebody tries to explain a meme, it's never funny. It's like you got to see it.
It's hard to explain them.
So, Delaney, who's sitting at your table?
It's living or dead?
Living or dead?
Yeah. And if you want Nora, I'm sure she has time for both.
I would say Tina Fey.
Oh, so obvious.
I think Elvis is a good one too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so mad at myself for not thinking of Tina.
Have y'all ever seen that movie, Wine Country? Have y'all seen that?
Yeah. They're all super fun.
She's spot on. No, I really enjoy her. I
love her.
Who would the third person be for you, Delaney?
I think it would be Tina. I don't know. I'm not sold on all this. Tina Fey, Mike Nichols, and I'm trying to think. Musician.
Mm-hmm. Doesn't need
Honestly,
to be.
Maybe I would do Bob Marley.
Okay.
Because that would be a funny table.
Because that's the way I look at it. It's not just you being able to talk to them, is them talking
to
one another. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's
or Elvis. Elvis would be great too.
See, I was thinking, he's more of a personality invite.
Who you had? Elvis, Nora Ephron, and
Mel Brooks.
Wow, that's a table.
Well, Mel Brooks and Carl Reiner, I hear, they always used to supposedly have like coffee every day or something. Carl Reiner and Mel Brooks. That's a table I would have loved to have been at, to have the two of them.
That's a great. They do a Comedians in Cars with that, right?
Yeah, they recorded it once.
Really?
So
really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Now I got it. That's the thing with Jerry Seinfeld, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay, I'm pretty sure it's Comedians in Cars.
Yeah.
But I got to ask you, of course, I got to go in with Bob Marley. I always felt that Bob Marley had a kind of a through line with some of the stuff your dad did. Was that somebody that was really big for him? Like somebody he enjoyed a lot?
Yeah, my brother's middle name is Marley, so it was Cameron Marley. Yeah, so yes, for sure. I think my dad was influenced by that. He loved Jamaica a lot.
I loved all the covers he did with Marley's music. One of the things I loved is you couldn't really pin down a genre for what your dad did, but because he touched on different genres. The duets he's done, there's just, like I said, I'm
a lot of them. Yeah.
The next question I got is, you're going to be on an exotic island now for a whole year. Now it's somewhere you want to be. It's not like, Castaways. This isn't Gilligan's Island going on, but you don't have streaming. So if you want to listen to music, you got to bring a CD with you. And if you want to watch a movie, you got to bring a DVD with you to watch all year long.
God.
What's that CD going to be, and what's that DVD going to be for you for the whole year, Katie?
Okay. My CD is a mixtape that Delaney makes me. I actually don't think I can name another CD.
You can't
so
count.
That's my answer. I don't know any CDs. That's the only one I can do. Or maybe like Now 17. A good variety. And then for a movie DVD, what's a movie I can watch absolutely nonstop? I'm going to regret this, but my answer is Miss Congeniality.
That's a good one.
Miss Congeniality, yep. It's from the early aughts, and an FBI agent gets a makeover to partake in Miss United States.
Everyone knows what Miss Congeniality is.
I was just making sure. There could be some younger listeners. So.
Yeah, I'm finding I'm having to do that more and more.
Thanks for the
now.
log line. Thank you for the log line.
Anyone out there? It's a canvas.
Maybe I should do that more often. Is throw the log line out there.
So Miss Congeniality.
Well, the original or the sequel?
Haven't seen it.
The original. Okay. The original. Yeah.
Delaney, how about you? CD and DVD.
My movie would be Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Okay.
Because I like to watch, like, if I'm in a warm place, I like to watch, like, a movie that's also in a warm place. Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Didn't Judd Apatow, I think he produced that, didn't he?
Yeah, Judd Apatow produced it, and Jason Segel wrote it. And was
Yeah. Because every guy's been in that scenario, like it's Russell Brand also. Yeah, that was a great movie. That's another one I need to go back and watch again.
Yeah.
And CD, is it going to be a mixtape that Katie makes for you?
Oh,
please.
It's going to be a negative. I would make a mixtape too, but I feel like that's like, if I'm like choosing like an artist, this is so, I'm not even going to say it. I can't say that out loud. It'd be the biggest eye roll of all time. You know what? I'll just say it. No, I can't say it actually.
I would say to save space.
No, I would say, actually, I don't feel the way. I would say,
unless you're like Baby Shark or something like
I would
that.
do
I don't think
Stevie Wonder, like Stevie
Oh,
Wonder
good.
greatest hits would be mine. That's not what I was thinking, by the way.
Now, do you have Spotify?
I think Stevie Wonder greatest hits.
You know
because
what?
I want all the hits. I don't want any.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. There's some people,
them.
it's like, the B-sides aren't really, you want to get the good stuff. Now,
I don't want the deep cuts.
Do you make Spotify lists, or how do you like to? I know it alluded to it before, but that's something.
I love playlists.
So, like, do you publish them? Do you make them public where people can dig them up and go, hey, here's?
No, I'll just do them for I'll do them I love making a playlist for a party or for a specific event or anything like that. Or if I'm like, oh, you know what song I like? I should throw that on my 80s playlist, or like my sad playlist. Not that I have that hypothetically. Or just like a fun dance playlist. But I have like random ones. I love making playlists though.
Well, one of the things, if you want to
myself.
come up with one and make it public, I'll publish it with this episode. And
you know what would be actually a better thing is if Katie had to make the playlist and you both publish it.
That's so mean. I thought you guys could do it together.
that would be great, because I think it's like what they eat, what music they like to listen to. I think it's such a fun inroad to their psyche and kind of their vibe. That's why I like the playlist thing. And it's so funny because I'll make something up, and I'm like, my daughter Emma, who's in the car, with me, I call her my baby diva. The only one of the kids that likes country music. So my Spotify end of year playlist thing came out, like, your number one artist, Morgan Wallen. I'm like, how did that happen? And I was like, oh yeah, because she's the one running the Spotify in the car when I'm driving,
Oh yeah.
But whenever I try to put something together, she's like, is that good? And I know she likes it, but she can't say, oh, that's awesome. She's like, meh. She just can't give me the credit of
Oh, that means she likes it. Yeah.
Yeah.
She approves.
My taste
He hates how much she likes it.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking. Now, the next question I got for you is, if you were going to say from time you get up to the time you go to bed, stem to stern, what are the component parts for you, Katie, of a perfect day?
Oh, good question. Well, I like very strong coffee, to the point where like my feet are barely touching the ground. So
yeah, I saw a quote the other day that said, I'm beyond coffee. I need to chew on power cables now. Yeah.
Yeah. I could honestly give that a try. I need some form of exercise to burn off the energy from said jet fuel.
Well, you said coffee. I got to ask you, what kind of coffee, what goes into the coffee? Are you like a regular coffee throwing a little baby?
That's the sad thing. Like, I don't even discriminate, and I don't even necessarily enjoy the taste. So I'll take any kind of milk. I just need as much caffeine as you can put in the brown liquid, and I don't care anything else.
I found a new one now. I like to grind my own coffee, but I found one down here they toast coconut and they grind that up with a coffee.
Ooh.
It is so good. I'm telling you,
that sounds delicious.
It almost has an inherent sweetness to it. So I don't put like a lot of sugar, but I use oat milk in it. Why am I telling you my coffee? I don't know. I just appreciate, like, some people will tell me the coffee recipe and like they can tell they go to Starbucks, and I'm sure that little sticker they put on the side looks like the Constitution. There's so many different things. I'm like, to me, it's a couple things. I like it. I'm a basic kind of guy. I like just really good coffee, nothing that's like a milkshake. Yeah. So we start off with a coffee. You're burning off all the energy.
So some kind of jet fuel, some kind of exercise. I do feel like I probably feel my best. And there's some kind of quote about this. It actually might be Tina Fey, that before you write, you're in utter agony. During writing, it's utter agony. The only kind of like bearable state is having just written. Mm-hmm. So I would say Delaney and I write for a long time. It's very productive. And then that's not like the feeling of that productivity is part of my day. Then Delaney and I hang out virtually for a while. Then I would say I watch Bravo TV. Again, don't even care. Anything on the channel works for me. Then I would make dinner with my husband, and I would go to bed around 9 o'clock. And that would be my perfect day. And now that I hear it, It's a little sad.
No,
But that
hey.
is my
Similar to
perfect
that.
day.
Now, Delaney, what would that perfect day be for you?
I'd wake up late. I like to sleep in, and I'd make myself breakfast, and I'd make myself coffee. I only really like iced coffee because I also don't love the taste.
Hmm.
And then I take my dog on a long walk. And I just looked down at her. And
What
then
kind of dog is
I
she?
think King Charles Spaniel.
Oh, okay. Yeah, your folks had like a number of those, right? Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And then I would uh, probably say, yeah, I would write for a couple hours with Katie, like she said, but it'd be really productive one where we don't have writer's block and we're like, oh, wow, like we're doing something really good. And then we would virtually hang out a little bit. Then I would go have an early dinner at my favorite restaurant, like a 6:30 dinner with some friends. And then
Nice
I
and
would go
early.
sit on my and I would go sit on my couch for like 2.5 hours. And ideally I'd watch no, like 3.5. I'd watch a true crime show that I've not seen yet that has an incredible twist. And then
That's such a good answer.
I would watch the full thing. Like I wouldn't have to stop. So I could watch all 5 episodes in one setting, even if I had to stay up till like 12. And then I would get in bed. I'd take my dog out, get in bed, and go to sleep. Mine's lame too, Katie.
No, that was really good.
I think true crime is sort of like now the mystique from Unsolved Mysteries when I was growing up. Remember that show from a long time ago? But I never
Yeah.
really kind of got into that. I know it's a big podcast genre. I just never got as into it because probably I think I would get like too into it. See, that's the kind of thing I think I'd get into it and I'd be
Yeah,
like,
you stay up all night.
Well, the
Yeah.
issue with Unsolved Mysteries is obviously it's right there in the title. Like, there's no conclusion.
Yeah.
So you just watch that show all day and you're like, and
Yeah.
nobody knows. Like,
Yeah.
you need a good ending.
But I've heard like there are people who have figured it out there watching the show or doing the podcast and stuff like that. I think Patton Oswalt's his wife that passed. She
Yes.
was really into that. I
Yeah,
think.
she did
The Golden
she
State
was
Killer.
solved as the Golden State Killer, yeah.
And there's
That is-
now a crime doc on her that I am currently watching called I'll Go in the Dark.
I'll Go in the Dark.
Ooh.
Yep. And it's about her catching the Golden State Killer.
Oh, where is that? Do you know, is it like on Netflix or something or
I think it's on It's on Max.
Max? Okay, I'm going to check that out now. Next question I got for you is if, Katie, if you were doing this for a living, if somebody said this aspect of creativity, this is not something you're going to earn a living doing, this is not something that's part of your life, what can you see yourself doing as a vocation besides this? What would be the number 2 choice?
I would say zookeeper.
Zookeeper. Any particular animals you want to hang out with? Or
Again, I don't discriminate, but I am a massive animal fan, as Delaney can attest. I actually did try to be a volunteer at it was called the Dare Park Zoo when we were younger back in Florida. And I went to orientation all excited. And then in orientation, they say you basically need 300 hours of volunteer service before you're allowed to pick up one of the turtles. And I was like, okay. I wanted to be brushing the tigers. Okay, that's not what I wanted at all.
you'd be chilling with the apes.
Yeah. So in this alternate scenario, it'd be a lot more laid back.
So you'd be hanging at the zoo. Very good, very good. Now, Delaney, what would be the number 2? What would be your vocation if doing this wasn't an option?
I think I'd love to be in this situation. Do I have to go back to school and stuff, or this is just hypothetical?
This is
I'd love
hypothetical.
to be a therapist.
Yeah. Okay.
I like to be a therapist. Not as mine's boring compared to Katie, but
We're both taking care of creatures.
I like the way Katie just distills things down regularly. She just kind of you have this wonderful sense of being able to boil things down to their very essence. I like that.
she does.
Now, the last question I got for you: if you were to jump into your DeLorean, you're going to be going back to when you were 16 years old. You got a couple minutes with yourself to offer a piece of advice to make that part of your life better in some way, or put yourself on a different trajectory. You think, what would that piece of advice be to 16-year-old Katie?
Oh man, I would say care less about your appearance, care less about boys, do your homework, actually read the assigned reading. Okay, that's why you're here. Thank you. And I would say maybe don't be afraid to take chances when you're still a little bit younger, because as long as it's not wasting your whole life at a blackjack table, you still have a little wiggle room to.
Seemed pointed.
You still have some wiggle room to get things back on track if you're like, oh, actually, like I don't want to do that.
Wow, she took aim at you there, Delaney. So okay, you're now in your DeLorean, and you've gone back. It's what's that piece of advice for you, Delaney, to your younger self?
Oh, I feel like everything I tell my younger self will tell myself in about 10 years too. I don't seem to be picking up on it. I would say, I think similar like to Katie, I think like care less about your appearance. I think that's a lot of teenagers. Care less what people think about you, which I still battle with daily, but definitely cared more when I was younger. And I think just like have fun and don't sweat the small stuff, because you're like it just gets harder, like to be honest, life gets harder, and like there's no easier time than when for a lot of people you have the least amount of responsibility. Not everyone, but I was fortunate enough to have less responsibility than I do now. And I think I would be like, don't sweat the small stuff. It's all downhill from here.
Well, I'm curious, like,
when I'm 50. 10 years, I'm like, care less about boys, care less about your appearance.
Care more about your appearance, the old hag.
Care more about your appearance. Yeah.
Just in life and growing up, but also going into the creative thing. What was a piece of advice or a drop of wisdom from your dad that, Delaney, that resonated with you, that you held on to? I'm sure it's more than one thing, but what's one thing that really landed that like, okay, this makes sense the older I get?
This was just something nice he said about in general working, and I tried to keep it hard. He said it takes just as long to be an asshole or it takes just as long to be a nice person as it does to be an asshole, or vice versa. And so it was basically like just leading with kindness always. And I think that's super important, especially in the industry that we have chosen. So that was something I always took with me, because he was always very kind and generous in spirit. And so I think I tried to do that. And I like to be around people who do that as well. So I think, yeah. But I think it's like a Paul Newman quote.
Yeah, that does sound a lot like something Paul Newman would have said. But I think one of the things that I think was just wonderful about your father is he continued to tour. I mean, how many people just say, I've done the thing, doing well, I'm going to kick back. And I always thought it was this weird thing that went on for years. Every time I wanted to go see a show, something else would come up. And I just never was able to. And I finally saw him at, it was Jazz Fest in New Orleans.
Yeah.
And did he have a workout routine, or does he just constantly just active? He seems like
he was a very active person. He was never sitting still. So yes, but he did work out often.
Because I had a love of aviation as well. And just, I still pick up little stories I'll find out from different corners about certain things that, he'd maybe shown up, had a guitar, that's one of the things I think has to be so wonderful for you, because for the rest of your life, you're going to be hearing these little nuggets and stories people want to share with you. And I think that kind of keeps a vibe going. And I know, I don't want to sound like I'm fawning or anything, but yeah.
No, I don't mind.
You're like, I'm used to it. It's been going on for all these years. I was curious, Katie, do you have any kind of specific memory of being at the Buffett household when you were younger that sticks out, that was anecdotally was just sort of like, I'm never going to forget this?
Oh man, I did spend a fair amount of time, and still do, at their house. So I'm sure I could. I would say two things. One, in terms of a piece of advice that kind of sticks with you. This one was a long time ago, but I remember he said once, chase your dreams and you just might catch them. And I just like loved the way he said it, like with his smile, and it just made it feel so kind of possible. And it was just kind of such a sweet way to say it. I don't know that I could pick a favorite memory with Delaney's dad, but one that definitely made me laugh was we were at a family lunch, and everyone's kind of trickling in and sitting down, and he walks in like a giant black and white straw hat with some kind of like intricate pattern, and everyone kind of just stops and like drops their fork and looks up like, what the hell's on your head? And he was so serious, like, you know, someone either gave it to him or it's from this, you know, it's from this like remote part of some kind of island and it's great for sun
So he wasn't even trying to be ironic.
So
he was
funny.
like,
no, it was completely serious. Yeah. And everyone's just like I'm like trying to stifle my laughter. Like, I'm not going to laugh at a man in his own house. And then thankfully, like, everyone's just like, his family starts cutting him down to size. And eventually we're all just laughing. But the hat was just like so honestly hilarious that it's one of my favorite memories.
This was so much fun. I really enjoy both y'all.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much for having us, Mark. It's so fun.
Thank you for having us. Yeah.
All right, there you go. Delaney Buffett, Katie Corwin. It was a lot of fun to have them. Love their sense of humor. This is a special episode for me because, as you know, if you've listened to the show, I love all things Jimmy Buffett. And it was a pleasure to sit down and help celebrate the talent of his offspring. You know, Delaney and Katie are both just their talent, their sense of humor, their creativity. I think it's going to be a real blast to check out Adult Best Friends, their new film on VOD. It is out today, February 28th. So go rent it. Go grab it. It will make your weekend better. I promise you. All right, that's it for me. Do me a favor, if you would, please go check out storyandcraftpod.com/rate. Drop a review, leave some stars, at least even on your own podcast app. Follow the show. That way you get notified every time there's a new episode. And that way you won't miss all the great episodes we have coming up. All right, I'm going to get on out of here. I've got this little rambunctious puppy under my legs. He is ready for a walk on the beach. So we're going to go head out and do that. And I want you to please go have yourself an absolutely wonderful weekend. Maybe you're listening to this during the week. I don't know. But whatever you're doing, thank you for making what I've got going on here part of whatever you've got going on. It really means a lot to me. So thank you so much. So go have a great one, and we'll talk to you next time, right here on Story and Craft.
That's it for this episode of Story and Craft. Join Mark next week for more conversation, right here on Story and Craft. Story and Craft is a presentation of Mark Preston Productions, LLC. Executive producer is Mark Preston. Associate producer is Zachary Holden. Please rate and review Story and Craft on Apple Podcasts. Don't forget to subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app. You can subscribe to show updates and stay in the know. Just head to storyandcraftpod.com and sign up for the newsletter. I'm Emma Dillon. See you next time, and remember, keep telling your story.
Come on.